If you now switch to oh,
just move. Go ahead. Okay.
Right. Okay. So the effects of new technology on employment. A study by PricewaterhouseCoopers says that 30% of all the jobs in the UK could be at risk and replaced by robots and artificial intelligence. What do we need to think about? For example, office workers. A lot of people who do data entry. We can use optical character recognition. So instead of having to copy and paste everything, we can just scan it and it automatically converts to text. Taxi drivers with the self-driving vehicles. Taxi drivers doesn't look good. Shop staff. We're already in left and right. We see places where you can either check out yourself or the checkout procedures being simplified. This is just a few steps away for the shop staff to become completely superfluous. Amazon. We'll put a further pressure on this Amazon Fresh that brings your groceries directly to your house. That will put another pressure on. So left and right, and these are just examples of jobs that may disappear completely. But there are also a lot of people do work that can be partly automated. So it doesn't mean that the entire job will disappear. But it could be that it will partly disappear because part of your duties can be automated and therefore become more efficient. So as a total, the 30% of UK jobs, that also includes basically the work that will be partly taken away by within your job. Could be at risk of being replaced due to robots and artificial intelligence. In the US, up to 38% of jobs could be at risk of automation. And McKinsey predicts that by 2030, as many as 800 million jobs could be lost worldwide due to automation. So that's only in 12 years' time. Advances in AI and robotics will have drastic effects on everyday working lives. In the US alone, between 39 and 73 million jobs tend to be automated. So basically everybody's in agreement. But what about the classical theory? So technological progress will lead to creative destruction. Creative destruction means that destruction needs to take place, and on that destruction, new jobs will be formed. That may be true. That when things change, new jobs will appear. Jobs that we may not even can envision at the moment. But there also disappear jobs. But what will be the total effect? And it seems quite likely that a lot of work will disappear. What will be the consequences for us as a society? What will be the consequences for certain professions and for society as a whole? That's the topic of discussion in this first part of this afternoon session. Employment. Income inequality is likely to grow, possibly leading to political instability, and the individuals who need to retrain for new careers won't be the young, but the middle-aged professionals.
By the way, audience cannot read these sentences. Must be careful.
They cannot read the sentence?
Yeah, no, the recording just only
faces?
No, only faces.
Oh,
must be careful reading sentence.
Okay, so
it's more clearly to pronounce it.
Can we not
no,
project both?
No.
Okay.
So you must be more carefully pronounce sentence.
I see.
Nobody can see.
All right. So income inequality, that will be an issue. The gap that we're already witnessing this in today's society and is expected to rise, the gap between the people who will be able to adapt to the new situation, who will be able to retrain themselves, who will be agile, who will understand how to manage themselves using this new technology and will be able to float. Those will be the winners of this movement, but there will also be losers. I mean, think about, for example, I just mentioned the taxi drivers. The average taxi driver, the age of the average taxi driver in Tokyo, I think, is close to 70. What what will be their future? Will they be able to retrain and adapt themselves to the new situation? That will be quite, well, not very likely, I think. So what are we going to do with those people? Are we going to give them base income? Are we going to give them some kind of social security? Or are we just going to kind of create work for them so that they can stay working, maybe not productively, but still keep their dignity and keep them satisfied, because it's a big group. And we cannot only look at this from an economic perspective. We also need to look at this from a humane perspective. So the changes won't hit everyone equally. So only 5% of the current occupations tend to be completely automated. Like I said before, like taxi drivers, for example, bus drivers, truck drivers, shop staff. If today's cutting-edge technology is widely adopted, well, in 60% of the jobs, 1/3 of the activities will be automated. So when you do, for example, an office job, for example, take an office lady, a part of her job will be data entry. But she'll do a lot of other things that will not be replaceable. For example, well, I was just going to give an example like answering the telephone, but I don't know if you saw Google I/O. These jobs are also likely to disappear because artificial intelligence will be able to answer the phone, not only inbound but even outbound. Will be able to be a human equivalent. So yes, not everything will disappear. Maybe the phone is a bad example, but other things when it comes to human to human interaction, in terms of sales, in terms of service, in terms of care, these activities will be very difficult to automate. Maybe we will get tools that make care more effective or lighter work, but it will only be in support of the human-to-human interaction. That still will remain at the core of care. It's a person-to-person activity. According to economic theory, this is a quote: "Technology destroys jobs, but not work." It's not true that all automation automatically kills jobs. It is estimated actually that the PC, the personal computer, actually that led to a net creation of 18.5 million jobs. That means some of the work that people did manually, for example, bookkeeping. People put things, wrote down numbers, and they used pocket calculators. Before that, they used an abacus or I don't know how you call it in Japan, the abacus. Or is it also Soroba? Mm-hmm. So that's how things work. But that work, the Soroban, the abacus disappeared, and the pocket calculator took its place, and so little by little we became much more effective in crunching numbers. The PC actually made that even more effective. So some people, as a result, some work disappeared, but as a whole, the whole PC brought employment, because the PCs needed to be made, needed to be sold. People needed to be trained on the PC. A lot of work on the PC was actually making us more effective, more better informed in doing our work. For example, farmers use the PC to calculate exactly how to treat the land, and we can see that everywhere around us. So the PC is not only there to replace work; it's also enables us to do things better. So as a whole, this PC actually created jobs. So Economic history suggests that new technology can benefit everyone in society, enabling growth in productivity, which in return brings us higher real wages, shorter working weeks, and we can see that. It is said that actually basically women liberation started with automation. It started with making work lighter on them by introducing electrical equipment in the households, etc. That freed up a lot of the time of a lot of the manual labor, and that gave women more time for education, for developing themselves, to work part-time and enter the work field. So we needed to work less. Shorter workers and greater job satisfaction. And any technological unemployment will prove to be short-lived. That was the economic theory. However, there are no guarantees that this will always occur.
Are you talking about 18.5 million at the global level? America? United States?
I am... it's actually... I'm not 100% sure. I would estimate that this is only the United States.
But even if in the United States, this figure is too small. America will disappear in job about, you said, 70 million or 80 million.
No. This is already behind us. This is already what happened in the past. I'm not talking about what's going to happen next, but this is basically what they say. Well, this happened to us in the past, so why do we worry so much about AI, and why do we worry so much about IoT and all the new technologies that will and driverless vehicles and deep learning and all these things? Because look at what happened to the PC. The PC, everybody was afraid that the people would lose their jobs.
No, my question is, in future,
right,
70, 80 million jobs will disappear.
Yes, in the US, it's
and
estimated.
You said 18.5 million is created.
Yes, that was in the past.
Oh, this is in the past?
In the past, yes. We talk about the PC. This is only about the PC.
No, you said estimated.
Yeah, it's estimated. We are not 100% sure. So here.
It's estimated.
Yes. So we do not know for sure. We haven't counted them one by one.
In the past?
Yeah, so in the past. Oh. So this is about the past. So basically what the general theory says, automation doesn't kill jobs. Look at the PC.
Okay.
Look at the PC, because the PC actually created jobs. 何ですか?
わかんないけど、龍がくれたお菓子。
あ、龍?
うん、北京美味しい。止まらない。
Would you like some? What is it? It's Chinese. ごめんなさいね、高橋さん。これ、
What's up?
Can you see it?
Chinese senbei.
It's senbei.
What's that? お菓子。
お菓子。
Can't stop eating.
ちょっと硬い。Sweet.
Bad health.
It's extremely bad for your teeth. It's good you're not here.
I think it's famous style or shape of the okachi of Chinese snacks. In Nagasaki, there is a huge type of. It is also maybe harder than this.
Harder.
So, yeah, elder people should always care about their teeth.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, what about employment? So, in developed economies like Japan, they are likely to be hit hardest with the coming changes, as higher average wages incentivize automation. So, whenever the costs are high, the cost of labor are high, those are the places that automation is going to focus at. So, where can we most easily cut costs? Employment in industries like healthcare will increase, because we have an aging population. So there may be some kind of automation, but it's estimated that actually still there will be a net increase in the number of care workers. While jobs that involve physical labor, like machinists and cooks, or data processing, payroll clerks, or data entry, are most at risk of automation because it's easy with the new technology, and we're getting pretty good at it. This will lead to an increase in inequality. So high-paying, creative, and cognitive jobs will be at a premium, while the demand for the middle and low-skill occupations will decline.
What do you mean cognitive job?
Basically, a cognitive job is a job that requires a lot of training to master. So low-skilled occupations will decline. This doesn't mean that for example, all the high-skilled jobs are safe. When we are thinking, for example, about research, data analysis will enable us to hugely improve our effectiveness. So if you have certain goals in, for example, researching clinical data, for example, finding disease patterns and things like that, like the technology will enable us to do this much faster and with much more accuracy than we can do today, and that will probably mean that we will research more because the costs are lower, but it could also very well lead to a decrease in the number of researchers that we need. There are other things that we can think of. For example, doctors who analyze MRI scans and things like that. Now, basically, the end, we observe things with our bare eyes and we interpret the results. This can be very easily automized, albeit that the results in themselves will not be emailed to the patient. So there still needs to be a person at the end of that line that will talk with the patient and talk about treatment possibilities, etc., etc. So we will be able to do that much more effective, maybe much better, but we will still need a human, because this is basically the bottom line. This is something that you do not just send by email. So that's where a specialist still will be needed, but it's very well possible that we will need much less specialists in this field. But as a whole, probably the lower skilled workers will have more difficulty to actually to sustain their jobs because they're more easy to replace with technique. Individuals in higher income brackets are more able to adapt to the changing job market, and that social mobility will suffer as a result. There will be a kind of glass ceiling to grow from a lower skill to a higher skill.
You mean social mobility?
Social mobility means that, yes. So basically, it will be more difficult to grow into a certain market. Take, for example, a law firm.
It's kind of moving, just stepping stone kind of.
Right, the stepping stone job. So
it's more difficult.
It's more difficult because basically the work of a clerk in a law firm that could be a perfect start to become a lawyer, for example, that could very easily be disappeared and automated because that doesn't require a lot of knowledge. So there will be less. Yeah, there will be less opportunity for young people to enter a firm, get experience, and become a lawyer as such. So that will be that will be a challenge for young people. To combat this, there may need to be targeted policies from universal basic income, which is an option, to improved education and training, and perhaps a better way to tax large multinationals. That is a big issue. Basically, who are expected to be the winners of this automation? It's going to be especially the people, the companies who are the creators of this technology, and the ones who will use that technology and leverage it to get income. So, like I said in the beginning, we do not measure externalities in our economic system. When we talk about production depends on labor and it depends on capital. That's what we say. But in reality, like take for example a company like Facebook. Facebook in itself is a very small company. It's not a lot of software, and it sits on an infrastructure that enables Facebook to become a multi-billion company. But only thanks to the investment that other people made in an infrastructure that is available to them for free. So those externalities, they are there for free.
Why is he talking about universal basic income, from basic income toward to invest education training? Why basic income? It means
the basic income means that we may need basic income because we will have losers in this system.
No, he's talking about from basic income to education training.
No. So basically, it means a range of. So there is a package of things that we can do,
income
like
and
basic
education,
income, education, and we need tax. We need tax, and with our very highly efficient global financial system, which enables us to move money very easily from one country to the other.
Consumption tax.
More consumption tax, but even that, I mean, if I have a company that's very successful in Japan, then I could very easily open a holding company and allocate, like basically with just a few documents, it would be possible for me to actually let all the money flow through Singapore, for example, if I get a tax break from Singapore, and there all the money that is made and generated in Japan will be lost, and it will not be taxable anymore. So that is a huge challenge that we will need to tackle in order to be able to generate taxes that will ultimately finance those base incomes, those extra education, and to absorb the shock that will be caused by this new technology.
Yeah. Right.
So what does it look like? I took two examples. One is Amazon and the other is Uber.
Four years ago, we started to wonder, what would shopping look like if you could walk into a store, grab what you want, and just go? What if we could weave the most advanced machine learning, computer vision, and AI into the very fabric of a store so you never have to wait in line? No lines, no checkouts, no registers. Welcome to Amazon Go. Use the Amazon Go app to enter. Then put away your phone and start shopping. It's really that simple. Take whatever you like. Anything you pick up is automatically added to your virtual cart. If you change your mind about that cupcake, just put it back. Our technology will update your virtual cart automatically. So, how does it work? We used computer vision, deep learning algorithms, and sensor fusion, much like you'd find in self-driving cars. We call it Just Walk Out technology. Once you've got everything you want, you can just
RFID.
Go. When you leave, our Just Walk Out technology adds up your virtual cart and charges your Amazon account. Your receipt is sent straight to the app, and you can keep going. Amazon Go. No lines, no checkout. No, seriously.
RFID, right? RFID. just RFID.
So this is already open in Washington.
I know, Seattle.
Seattle, yeah.
RFID, but how the system can connect to the person?
Because the person checks in.
Yeah, but
Right.
RFID, pick RFID, right?
Right.
RFID, pick product, but how RFID can recognize specific person?
So you know, because you know where your phone is, right? Your phone is next to your card, so the person is in between.
Yeah, I take RFID, but phone, how? Okay, my phone, RFID.
Right.
How this RFID can recognize you yourself? You pick this.
So
product.
the phone, you basically the phone is being picked up once you enter the store. So basically, then the phone knows your location.
Yeah, but how RFID is the charge?
I'm not 100% sure, but if I would implement this, I would basically establish a connection between the person and the basket. That's probably the easiest way to do it.
Person to person.
And the basket.
Yes, but how this product will data transfer to Amazon?
Ultimately, because basically you walk out with your shopping basket with whatever you have. You go through the scanners, it's picked up, registered, and because there's a connection between that card and your phone, and you have been identified. So basically, that is can be automatically charged to your Amazon account.
It doesn't make sense. It's
No?
how go to that? Just consider.
It is already possible to realize such kind of a service by
Yeah, I know, but
combining
what
kind
the techno behind technology? This is it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. I think
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Going out, right?
Right.
Okay, just the computer recognize you're going out.
Right.
But
Because there's a gate, right? There's
Yeah.
a-
But RFID is RFID. RFID is recognized.
It knows exactly where
Okay,
it is.
I tell you, RFID can recognize gate.
Right.
But your PC can recognize you yourself. But how does the computer connecting you yourself and product?
Because you hold the basket, and when you enter the shop, I think you will be connected to that basket that you pick up, right? So they know that whatever is in that basket is what you picked up. So that's how they make a connection between.
No, no, it cannot. System cannot.
It is possible.
You can get in, right?
Right.
And pick product, right?
Right.
And system recognize you get in.
Right.
And system can recognize
That's easy, right?
RFID picked up.
Yes.
But the difficulty is how to connect the person and this RFID.
Why?
How does they going to get just this person pick this product?
Because the position, it's obvious from the position where you are that this product with the RFID is actually positioned in your shopping,
What kind of
in your
technology
basket.
they're going to connect the product and this person?
They know your exact location in the store, right? They can determine that.
No, what technology?
This is kind of a GPS technology position. That's the basis of RFID. So you identify something and you can trace it. You can track wherever it is. It's in containers. So if I want to know where my container is at this moment, I just log in and I can see on a map exactly where in the world is
how
that.
system can recognize
Satellites.
this product is picked by you? But
Because
next person.
it's in my basket.
I and you are standing.
Hmm.
Okay, or wife or husband, whatever. And I pick up this.
Right.
But how does this machine recognize?
Well,
Not
I
you,
think
not
I think
me.
if I don't put it in the basket, then it might be difficult. It's probably necessary for you to put it in the basket.
Oh, they're unique basket?
Yeah, of course.
No,
we- Why not?
they are not unique basket.
No need
This
to
is
use a basket,
only
but,
bag.
But anyway, it is possible by combining several type of the technologies.
So,
Yeah, looking at this movie, some guys, some woman just carried out the drink and the sandwich with a basket.
oh, without basket.
Yeah, and even before the gate, she already started to drink. But it is possible. But
How? What?
Oh, they
what
do it.
kind
But
of
actually, in the
technology?
video, they showed that they immediately Immediately, the moment.
That's right.
My question is, what kind of technology they can recognize?
Well, it must obviously has something to do with positioning.
This,
So,
this is just my imagination.
Okay.
But so
I'm standing close to you, 20 centimeters.
right,
I'm going picking coffee bottle.
right.
But how this machine can recognize I'm picking or you are picking? This
Well,
coffee bottle is charged to you.
Probably the moment when you walk out, you can be sure, right?
Hmm? No, it's difficult. Or 10 centimeters.
Yeah.
Or I pick coffee and hand it over to you. So this machine, how does this machine recognize? How to do that?
Well, I would say that you can only be sure who took the coffee the moment you walk out of that store.
RFID technology is somehow already some other.
Yeah, RFID is recognize this product, okay, and location. But
So-
RFID is no relationship with
So I say
the person.
So what I'm saying is that RFID idea is already some kind of old-fashioned technologies.
Right.
If I like to realize this system, I think the technology based on the statistics is behind that, and there are several level of the let's say counting system should be implemented here. So if the first moment when the system can recognize who is going to take what,
You need to
It
come
is-
here, otherwise no
is-
recording.
is just in front of the shelf. So if woman first the customer when coming to the shop, she or he is trying to recognize themselves with the smartphone by showing the IDs, and the system can scans, and at that moment system can recognize who is going to enter the shop. Okay, and next maybe that account may be connected with some kind of biometrics information, like a facial informations. So, for example, I have an iPhone 10 here, but the facial recognition technology is now very, very, very effective. And as this movie already said, this system is combining with some kind of sensor fusion, and maybe there are a lot of cameras just in front of the
Must be a
every
lot.
shelf. But it is not necessary to put
You mean the
each one
facial
camera-
recognition? Facial recognition?
facial and the movement of the body, so that every camera should not be set up on each one product, but it is also possible to just a few cameras.
Okay, so in this case, I'm intentionally close to him. And close to him, I picked the coffee, but this coffee tried to him.
So that so that kind of situation may happen.
Like I did before.
So,
bullet train.
We will get the
Bullet train.
fighting.
I lost my ticket. How to get out from bullet train gateway? It's very close to the front person to stick it to him and going out. Right? This kind of thing, right? Okay, I understand.
So that maybe each shelf have maybe the weight sensors.
Yeah, best way to get free and close to him and to get one.
And also maybe the package of the product also have some kind of very small the IC tags, like a mu chip or the Hitachi. The cost of a mu chip is very, very the cheap. It is possible to.
How much is it?
Maybe 0.01 yen or something.
Really?
Really? No, more. 10 cents?
Right now, but if they are going to use a lot of numbers, it is possible to decrease as much as the cheap price. So that the facial recognition, movement recognition, and weight sensors. I see tags, and the last maybe the gate will be the sensor sensoring the.
So basically, if
information.
in the future we don't even need to bring our phone anymore, we can just walk in.
Right. That's right.
Also going out and sticking to you, and the machine cannot do it. I'm going out.
No, actually, basically, if that is the case, then what will happen is that we will start to 3D print masks, and I walk in as Uno-san.
Oh, that case they can do.
Right. So that's
China already they kind of system they installed. If you're going to through, you had a criminal before, but the gate cannot be. Cannot be.
To prevent such kind of errors of the system, of course, the double or triple
Really?
protection system also required for that kind of service.
Okay, moving to the next.
right. So
I understand.
hmm.
His explanation is very clear. I understand.
I wonder whether they're already so far, but it's possible, and it's a very interesting pilot. In the Netherlands, we already have this in a much more low tech way. But every supermarket in the Netherlands, you have scanners. So you just pick up a scanner. You need to scan it with your customer card. You scan it, and then whatever you buy, whatever you pick up, you just scan it. You put it in your basket. Very simple. And then basically, when you come to the cashier, there is no cashier. You can choose either to go to a person or you can do it yourself. Basically, if you do it yourself, you just basically release your scanner, and the products will be charged. You put your bank card in, and you just pay, which surprisingly not so many people use.
But anyway, you show your bank card at the gate, right?
Right. So you show your bank card at the gate, and you need to.
This system automatically charges.
Yeah. So that's very low tech version. The thing is that actually, when I observe that, there are not that many people who actually do it. The majority of the people still go.
Why they're not using it?
I think. Well, I don't know. This could be because I didn't really observe it in a big city, but in a smaller town. That could be one of the reasons, because there is this kind of more social cohesion. You know the lady at the cash register. You're not in a hurry. People feel that's always been like that. They don't really dislike it. That they just want to take time and talk to somebody, and those kind of things.
Yeah. And also the service provider surely take into account of such kind of illegal activities.
There is somebody there who sometimes goes up to people and say, okay, they do a check. They check 5 items in the cart. If if five items out of your cart are in your are indeed registered, they take 5 items out of your basket. They check it, and did you actually scan it? If all 5 are actually scanned, they say, okay, it's okay. So that's part of the system. So
at the end of the day, maybe the system are going to check whether the number of the sold product and the charged amount is matched or not.
Right.
And if those doesn't match, then the system automatically trace back information, every informations, and so maybe it be possible to who is possibly to store something,
Right.
and it is also possible to charge afterward,
Right.
maybe double the price.
Right. But sometimes that leads to very embarrassing situations. I know that a friend of mine got a call from a restaurant saying, today you ate at our place and you didn't pay. Well, he had the receipt to show that he actually did pay, but it's embarrassing. It's very embarrassing for the restaurant. But no, apparently it's necessary. Too many people leave without paying.
So that maybe the reason why I said about the statistics also service provider also think about such kind of store number, regularly stored number of the products.
Right.
10% or 20%.
Right.
And those price also already charged into the each product.
Right, it's a markup. Yeah. That percentage is, by the way, very much higher in the Netherlands than it is in Japan.
Blockchain, the kind of sort of things.
Let's suppose that you're writing a really important email.
Oh, next one.
Yeah, sorry, this is a commercial. You can skip it in 2 seconds. Let's open it up. People can see this video or not at home? No, cannot.
I don't think so.
To a colleague.
This is how Amazon works in the back end already. Order picking. This is how they bring the. So you see, they lift up the pulse it. Then they go train. Fully automated. This is still a bit archaic. Not a soul there. Well, only just a few people.
Free layout.
Huh.
No need to accurate design.
Right.
There's no line.
It's a kind of AI
Right.
principle.
Everything is very flexible to adapt to any kind of situation. That is amazing. So that is also the different point of the automation which we realize. That's
So they need some human hand.
Right.
No?
But there is like the 80-20 rule, right? You can try to automate everything, but there comes a point where humans become cheaper than machines. So you go for the low hanging fruit first. So the heavy lifting that you can quite easily replace, and then you go to optimize and optimize and optimize. But at the current state of affairs, it's just more efficient to have some people still involved. But this is, I think this is really amazing. Like how efficient, how streamlined, like how flexible the whole system is set up. Everything automized is, very impressive, and this is the new way of distribution. Now, I think that this will be the standard for a lot of companies to operate in the future. So that means that people who work in these fulfillment places, their jobs are very much at risk. The advantage that Amazon has will it's copyable, just like Kaizen. It's copyable. But yeah, this is the new technology. It doesn't require many humans, and what will the next step, I think, is that these will be open warehouses. It will not be Amazon. It will be an open hub where all kinds of foods, all kinds of materials and products can be left and picked up on demand, integrated with an open fleet of trucks. And that will lead to very, very highly targeted, granular distribution system that will be open for everyone. So that this kind of future is already happening.
Major announcement from Amazon. Amazon has announced that it is going to be opening a grocery store in Seattle, Washington, early in 2017. What is notable about this grocery store? Well, it's not going to have any cashiers. In fact, it's going to need very, very few employees, because the way it's going to work is when you walk in, you will scan your phone, which will tell the store that you're inside. And then they will have a very sophisticated system that uses sensors, computer vision, deep learning, which will track customers as they move through the store, and it will register what items you pick up and put in your basket. You change your mind and put an item back on the shelves, the system will be able to determine that as well. There's going to be prepared food, salad, sandwiches, etc. That will all be handmade, but it will be sold in boxes that are also part of the entire automated system. And then when you're done, you just walk out of the store, because the system tracks what you have in your basket. There's no need to check out. It'll just automatically be billed to your credit card on file. So obviously Amazon is talking about this as total utopia. It's going to cut down on lines. It's going to cut down on a lot of the stuff that's annoying about going grocery shopping, particularly in urban areas. But there's the other side of this, which is this would be a major job killer. If you think about the 3.4 million people who are employed as cashiers in the United States, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And if you think about the 4.5 million employed as retail salespeople, and the 2.4 million employed as laborers that are stocking shelves and moving cargo around, Amazon is automating away many of these jobs. They already have robots in warehouses to move cargo around. They have new robots that are able to not only find items on shelves, but also prepare items for shipment. This is something that I truly believe, Pat, is inevitable. When we look at the advance of technology, and you go to a grocery store, and you see a cashier scanning items one by one, and punching in produce stock codes, that does not strike me as something that is remotely necessary 5 or 10 years down the line, given all of the technological developments that we have. Why are we going to need cashiers to scan your items? And many stores already putting in place self-checkouts. But I don't believe that pushing back against this because it's going to be a job killer is going to be effective, because when you just look at what the job is and what technology can do, how do you justify millions of cashiers just ringing products through a scanner?
Right, it seems like cashiers will be the next victim of automation and technology. But it's overall a good thing. I mean, scribes were upset hundreds of years ago when the printing press came out.
I have a friend who won't use self-checkouts because he doesn't want to encourage stores to put in self-checkouts. It's a very nice gesture, but it is going to do nothing to stop this. And the broader analysis here is we had a very drawn-out presidential election campaign with tons of discussion about bringing jobs back and manufacturing jobs, etc., etc. No serious discussion of the fact that many of the jobs Trump wants to bring back no longer exist, and the more important discussion that jobs are going to be destroyed by technology. I don't believe that pushing back against this is going to be effective, whether it's Amazon or someone else. If you really just think about where technology is right now, and then you think about lots of the jobs that still exist, it's very hard to justify those jobs still existing 5, 10, or at the most 15 years down the line.
So, job killer. And I tend to believe that he's right.
There's so many.
Ever wonder how new Amazon sellers are able?
Oh, sorry.
For example, in the case of the United States, there are so many immigrants from Mexico or other from countries, and many of them are working at like a store for the cashiers or moving the products from a backyard to the shelf, but all those kind of jobs will be lost in 10 or 20 years.
Right.
So that soon there will be, they will lose their way for living. So if such kind of a movement happens in a drastic speed, then that will definitely cause some kind of turmoil.
Well, what you see already, and this is Trump doesn't say this, but actually there's a net remigration towards Mexico. People moving back to Mexico. There are more people moving back to Mexico than people from Mexico moving to the U.S. Because actually the life there is easier. The economy was picking up. I'm not sure whether they can keep that going, but the economy is picking up. So many people say, why are we still in the U.S.? They're going back. It's already happening. So I think the commentator in this video is right. We can try to stop Amazon, but it will not make any difference because the technology is already out there, and if Amazon is not doing it, then somebody else will do it. We can do it, therefore it will be done. The question is, okay, how are we going to fix it? How are we going to fix it for the people who will be affected? We're always very easy to talk about globalization, about yes, well, in the short run it may cost jobs, but it will in the long run, jobs will be replaced, and there will be new ways of the economic system. But really, is it really going to happen like this? And are the people that will come out of this, are those the same people as the people who lost in the system? It's already happening, like globalization. That's the reason why Trump is president at the moment, I believe, because there are actually a lot of losers who cannot get back on their feet, who cannot find new ways of employment, that cannot. Basically, the American blue-collar worker is no longer the center of the American society. They no longer make up the DNA of the USA, and they feel very much surpassed and left alone by what's happening. And there's on the other hand, like the gap between rich and poor is growing dramatically. Now put on top this new technology, and it will actually be worse. So how are we going to deal with that?
I think the situation of replacement with the new technology with the labors, it is the same with the automations. But only one thing different between two situations, automation and IT automation, is the speed. In the case of automation, most of the case, that technology caused a huge impact to the automobile industries, and as a result of that, many blue-collar workers were driven out, and they lost their work. But one thing that was lucky for them was the speed was not so fast comparing with the IT technologies revolutions. the IT technology revolution, the speed of the changing the world is drastic.
Right. Right.
But that change, the difference of the speed is one of the issues to be thought.
Right. So what for the car industry, the next step what will happen is that we're going to move from cars that are driven by combustion engines to electric vehicles. That basically means that we're going to go from a mechanical device to building a computer, which requires a lot less work to put together. So assembling cars, the number of jobs will lose. The next thing that will happen is that we are going to an age where basically we're going to share things. Like the sharing economy is one thing. So the number of people who really wants to own a car will be dramatically reduced, because basically what we're going to buy is not a car, we're going to buy mobility services. That means that I want to go from my house to, for example, to Shinjuku. Therefore, I want to have a small car for two, pick me up at 2 o'clock. I don't want to pay money for a parking lot or whatever. I just want to be moved from here to there. In the weekend, I might decide I want to go to the ocean, and in that case, I rent a nice open car, self-driving car, and go there, leave it there, and somebody else will pick it up, and then make sure that on Sunday I will be picked up by another car and be brought home. So that will mean that basically people will start sharing cars, and it's estimated that actually the number of cars that we will have in 10-15 years time will be only 20% of what we have today. That's what is needed to actually provide mobility to everyone. So for people in the car industry, the car makers, it's going to be very, very difficult. Very difficult. But just like the people who work in this logistics system, fulfillment. Now Uber. Uber is interesting. Uber, you know Uber?
Yes.
Okay, so Uber is basically the Airbnb for taxis. So instead of renting out your house, you rent out your car with yourself in it, and you there's a nice app available for people. They just open up the app, see who's nearby, and or make themselves available on the Uber app, and you can get a ride. It's said that it's a superior experience, and the price is better than that of a taxi. It is sad. The question is, Uber killing the yellow cab in New York City?
It's not often that you see yellow cabs in Brooklyn. The 13,587 medallion cabs in New York City, they're all concentrated in one borough, Manhattan. But in this particular neighborhood in Brooklyn, you can see cabs everywhere, lining the blocks, street after street. When you look inside, there's no drivers. So what are all these cabs doing here?
The yellow cab is an icon of New York City. In 1937, the Haas Act was introduced, creating what's known as the medallion system, which regulates pricing and limits the number of taxis allowed on New York City streets. These medallions are licensed by the Taxi and Limousine Commission, or TLC. No yellow cab can drive without one. Because only a finite number of taxi medallions exist, historically their prices steadily increased over time, peaking at over $1 million in 2013. But their price has since plummeted due to the growing popularity of ride-hailing apps like Uber. The number of Ubers has now surpassed yellow cabs in New York City. This has left many yellow cab dispatchers in an unprecedented predicament, having a surplus of medallion taxis and not enough drivers to drive them. At McGinnis Management, a dispatcher in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, the surplus is so large that it's spilled into the streets. We met up with Mel Plout, a former yellow cab driver who took us through what neighbors have begun to refer to as a taxi graveyard.
So they have all this overflow because they just don't have drivers coming to take them out.
So they just park wherever they can find a spot, basically move it around.
Yeah.
Because there's one even right down this residential street right here, at the gas station.
Yeah, they're all over the place. I mean, think about like 2 years ago on a Friday afternoon, people were like clawing each other's eyes out for a yellow cab. You know, like on the streets of New York, you're like, get out of my way, it's my cab, right? That's like the biggest rush hour of the week.
Yeah.
And now, nobody wants these cabs. This is the new normal.
So and then every single yellow cab has a medallion fixed to the hood.
Yeah.
What is the medallion system?
This is a piece of tin, but this thing is the one thing that allows this car to pick up a person hailing for a ride on the streets.
And Uber isn't beholden to having to have a finite number of cabs, so they've kind of opened up the
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the same, they're doing the exact same thing that gypsies did in the 60s, right? So Uber, Lyft, whoever else are coming in and undercutting the taxi rates and each other's rates also to compete for passengers. Cabs now can't compete with that. That's the other reason they're sitting here today, right? Because the city says this is what you charge, no more, no less. And I think Uber's biggest advantage is the scheduling flexibility, which they brag about all the time. It's the hugest piece. It's like, you can show up whenever you want. You can drive just during rush hour when there's lots of business. Nobody took them as seriously as they take them now.
Drivers are switching to Uber in droves, but for some, yellow cabs are still the preferred option.
I have to work a little more hard than before because of high competition. Competition with application-based taxi service like Uber, I can name it, few other companies, Lyft, but I'm not against them. We all have the right to drive.
3 years ago when I was driving, I would go on a Friday night and I would make like $300-400 for myself. So that's total 5 something. With the lease I would give the garage, and that was good. I would only go to work for like 2 days, make like $1,000 in college is like so much money. But now if I go the max I can probably make is $200. So now like my profit decreased by $300, so I don't make as much money now. So yeah, Uber has a big impact on the yellow cab.
Is the yellow cab going to be able to survive when people are just using Uber to hail cars?
You know, my hope is that that street hail doesn't die because it's a New York tradition. You know, you don't have to have your phone with you. You can still pay in cash, but I think it'll change, and I think it has to change, and I think the industry has to adapt. And if these big medallion owners don't figure it out, and if they don't get a little bit of help, like from loosening regulations perhaps, then maybe, yes. I think there's too much invested in this industry on both sides, but certainly on the yellow side, that it's not going to die. They just have to figure out ways to get the drivers to come back.
I'll give you a very fine answer. Yellow medallion taxi never dies.
The yellow cab is not dead yet. We've been at this lot all day, and drivers have come in and out to get their yellow cab to go out and pick up passengers. But as Uber expands into things like self-driving cars, it seems to stand to reason that unless the yellow cab doesn't adapt, sites like the one here at McGinnis are only going to become more common.
So the sharing economy, Uber here is taking a severe chunk of, and this is just about taxi drivers. But imagine what happens that most of these taxi drivers, they work their butts off. Then with their savings, and usually their family savings, they buy a medallion, and that's their pension. They bought it for $1 million. Right? Back in the day, 2013. That's only 5 years ago. At the moment, the value of a medallion, well, must have plunged. So all the savings that people that put into these cabs, they have evaporated.
It's like in past the telephone line in Japan, we bought the kind of a license from NTT, and we could even sell them. same with the membership of Go.
Oh.
Yeah, it's true. But soon after, the cell phone expanded, then eventually NTT stopped to sell the right.
Is that the right to a number, or what is that license?
Number.
Ah, okay.
But the number could be changed. One number, one license.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Depending on the region, if you move from A to B, you can get new numbers there. But anyway, you can keep your right to use have the telephone. But now almost zero. Yeah.
Right. So that value is zero. So we see a complete disruption here in the taxi driver industry. The next step, what's going to happen with Uber?
Maybe only one way for them to keep along might be maybe giving high value service coupling with the mobility service, like guiding tourists.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That is one of the ways. Yes.
Definitely. I mean the Airbnb business, but Airbnb has the same problem as the taxi drivers have because now the number of people who are in this business basically puts a lot of pressure on the prices. So that we really need to diversify and put in other additional services and what have you in order to actually make this worthwhile. And it's something that everybody is struggling with. So but we are supposed to be the challengers, right? But the challengers are also challenging amongst each other. Okay, but not everything is very is good in the Uber world either.
I'm afraid that someone's going to be able to hack these cars and maybe kill people. Like Terminator and Skynet.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that they're going to make an hack that becomes self-aware and she's going to take anybody out.
We're on the streets of downtown Pittsburgh. We're about to call an Uber, and we're going to check out, get a ride, talk to some drivers about how they feel sharing the road with self-driving Ubers. Travis Kalanick, the CEO of Uber, has said that by 2030, he wants the whole Uber fleet to be self-driving. Does that change how you think about the company?
It takes away a lot of jobs and people's living. It's going to just use people for now to get them to start up the business and then go to self-driving cars. And a lot of people who do this full-time are going to be really upset that they're going to lose a lot.
I actually got laid off, so that's the reason why I'm doing Uber now. And my mom was actually doing it for about 2 months prior. There's days when my mom goes out for like 12 hours and she'll make over $250 in a day. People say that there's no jobs out there. That you can work for Uber. Uber wants to provide jobs.
How does it feel that like the guy at the top of Uber eventually wants to replace you with a robot?
Like most people that I've talked to anyway, I got laid off and it was the fastest and quickest way that I could start making money right away. I never really planned on doing this for the rest of my life, so I really do hope that it's successful. I think it's really cool that this is happening in our lifetime.
There's a lot that Uber drivers don't like about Uber, but there's also a lot that they do like.
All right, Levon is coming in the Toyota Corolla. He's actually already here.
As far as I've been driving through Uber, getting quite fabulous. Fun, neat, new.
That's one of the driverless cars directly ahead of us.
It's doing good so far. It looks like it's driving pretty fair.
People are driving, people in the Uber, they advertise, it's a big business up here.
They want to make a lot of money. That's what the city's in for, is all that all that new tax money that they can make.
There's no good insurance into this for your health or anything like that.
I guess robots don't really need insurance. In an email sent to its Pittsburgh fleet, an Uber executive said that new technology often leads to new work opportunities, and that drivers could apply to be safety drivers in autonomous cars. Some drivers we spoke to, however, pointed out that the new jobs are highly skilled, and that they might not be qualified.
I think the respect that Uber is giving us is a nice opportunity, and to give it to, I guess, a car that can just drive itself would be kind of rude.
So the Uber drivers who are kind of putting the taxi drivers out of business are being driven out by the driverless vehicles. That's the reality. What I also noticed is that actually most of the people in this video, Pittsburgh has been hit very hard economically. So employment in Pittsburgh is low, but I think this is not only Pittsburgh. This is the whole U.S., the whole Western world, where we see that actually people are less and less employed, and more become individuals who are self-employed, who make ends meet by driving in an Uber car or do certain things. There's no job security there. It's probably not that easy to build up a pension and everything like that. But this is the new reality. I think more and more people will not be staff, will not be employed. Certainly not lifetime employed. But more and more very flexible. Take the opportunity while they can, and then the industry is disrupted again, and they need to find new ways to adjust. Now, if you're young, that's easy. But if you're older, that's gonna get more and more difficult.
Recently, Uber looking for automated car.
Right, Uber is driving automated cars. We saw one in the video in Pittsburgh. So they're already testing with automated cars. Pittsburgh, yes.
Do you know that already in Shanghai University, there are automated car moving around.
In Pittsburgh, in where is it? In Arizona, they have driverless Ubers. They are coming.
So also those people will going to lose job.
Yep.
Within a couple of years.
Yeah, but I don't think they're actually. I'm not really sure how the Uber model works, but I believe you just sign up with your car and then you can use the appli and take rides. Right? That's it. It's not you're not employed. You make what you make. That's it. Uber doesn't pay you a salary.
Yeah, but those people will going to lose job anyway.
Absolutely.
Within several years.
Right, but I mean, they are the ones who are currently taking the jobs of the taxi drivers, the people who invested their money in the medallion. And next they're up so this is happening. This is taking over and over and over, and this is kind of a circle that's spinning and spinning and spinning, and that will have serious consequences for these people.
In Shanghai, it's already Didi is similar to Uber. It's cheaper than taxi, but foreigners cannot hire them because I can't use their.
The appli. Yeah, that's there's a lot of things you cannot do in China with.
Very cheap.
Yeah, I have a plan to visit Peking next week.
Oh, better make sure that you have a VPN ready.
Yeah, already.
Okay.
And, but still a lot of issues.
Did you set up one yourself, a VPN, or no?
I tried to rent the Wi-Fi with the VPN service.
Okay.
I think, the advertisement said, we guarantee that you can go through the red file.
Really? But
our VPN service.
Yasu, he went to Shanghai last week, And he also was using a VPN, but there are still a lot of outages.
Yeah, because always they are developing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but when they say they guarantee, I don't think they give 100% uptime guarantee, but they guarantee that at least once you will be able to get out. I don't know.
Not stable.
Not stable.
Everybody said, yeah, like that.
You can use it, but not stable.
There's no 100% possible way. So that's
like a Facebook, you can see it, but not stable. You can see it whenever you like. No. Just periodically they shut it down. So you can use Facebook and you can use Google, and Chinese government try to control, but you can use, but you cannot use as business.
Well, going back to the main track, one thing I think it is interesting is the freedom of the possibility of the Uber or the Airbnb expand the somehow they expand the possibility for the young people to work them, and apparently it seems like maybe many people thought that kind of business style will spoil the quality of the service, rather than some official service which is guaranteed by the regulation and the license. But actually, the Uber or Airbnb, that the service eventually guarantees the quality of the service also, because one of the key service maybe the scoring system of the driver or the
stars that you get in Airbnb that will determine whether people book yes or no.
So that the Uber or the Airbnb produce such kind of opportunity.
You can come closer. You can.
That is a very interesting situation. Freedom of the freedom of the.
It's a crowdsourced vetting system.
Oh yeah.
So that's we don't need a regulation. I mean, for Uber, Uber's it's very widely acknowledged as being a better service at a better price than the American Yellow Cab. When it comes to Airbnb, well, there's a lot of different Airbnbs, but when yesterday I happened to be at a Toastmasters meeting and the topic of discussion was Airbnb, and the majority of the people there said, well, I take an Airbnb over a hotel any time of day, not because of the price, but the experience is superior.
Yeah, I think that is an important point. Not only because of the price, but the quality. Most of the people demand the quality of how comfortable the service is. And Airbnb or Uber can anyway Airbnb or Uber realize that.
Yeah. So what we see here is that a lot of changes are already happening. When we look at Amazon, the shop staffless shops are out there now. Look around here in Japan; it could happen any moment. The technology is not very far behind. We can do it. So that it's quite likely that this will become a normal phenomenon everywhere in the world, including Japan. No more shop staff. When we look at the fulfillment, that's also going to happen. It's already happening. Look at the efficiency that we see for a company like Amazon. That can be duplicated and will be duplicated, and not only that, it will probably be an open system with logistic services where everybody can put its products in. then Uber, the sharing economy, that will basically result in losses of jobs for taxi drivers. But the Uber drivers themselves are also being replaced. So we see people losing jobs everywhere. More flexibility, more self-employed, but less job security. What are we going to do with those people? What are we going to do with those people?
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Maybe only
We'll talk
one
about
way
that.
to survive is to keep the creativity as a human. That is
Right.
only one thing.
But that's the thing. That also depends not only on the spirit, but also on the capacity. Not everybody is fitted equally. And we had a very inclusive system, especially in Japan, where not only there were jobs for almost everybody, but even the recognition and the appreciation that people get from doing their job, no matter what that job is there. But that's changing.
Yeah, I agree. That kind of tendency happens in Japan, as you said. And thinking about the situation in Meiji era or maybe early Showa era, there was still a variety of the way for the people to live alone. Not only enter the senior high school and the university. Right now, that is the only way for the ordinary people to live alone. But in past, there are a variety of the way, not only for the occupation, but also the way to learn something. And also the people's mind were also different. Everybody admire or respect any kind of let's say Meister, some kind who have as you said, cognitive type of occupation. All of those people were respected by the people,
right?
So that nobody shamed to make their sons become like a carpenters or even paint wall painting or something.
Right.
But now only going to the one way to the senior high school, university, then getting to the nice company. That is only one way to live.
Right.
That is a totally different. Well, in other words, maybe we should have more true diversity in the society.
Right, but I'm afraid that basically the only diversity that will be left is the difference between winners and losers.
Okay, by the way, break couple minutes.
Hi, okay.
I just recording.
Pause.